Hi guys, it's Christine with Indigo Wings, and I am here to do the weekly reading for Twin Flames for April 24th through April 30th. I'm a little tired. I've been sick for over a week now, and I started getting better, and now I'm getting a sinus infection. So I'm going to kind of push through to do this video, but I am really tired. So if you see me kind of pausing, that's why. And I'm hoping that I can make it through doing this without coughing all over you guys, because I'm sure you want to hear that right in your ear. So a couple things before I get started. I'm sorry I missed last week's video. I was like in bed sick with the flu, so there was no way it was going to happen. So I'm sorry I missed that, but we're back. So let's see. There are 4 planets right now that are retrograding, and I think for some people it's kind of causing them to feel off. There's definitely some intense energy coming through. Pluto went retrograde earlier this week, and I definitely felt that come up. So right now we have Mercury, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter all retrograde. Venus came out of retrograde on April 15th, but it still is in the shadow period. So you might still be feeling the effects of that a little bit, but probably not too bad. But a couple things that I just wanted to point out with Pluto going retrograde. So Pluto kind of causes us, or not causes us, but Pluto can make us face our shadow sides. It can really bring out our fears and cause us to have to face our fears head on. You know, so there can be a lot coming up for people right now around confronting their fears. And, you know, that's not always an easy thing, but it's also not a bad thing to confront your fears. Something that I'm seeing a lot of for the feminine, and there's a really, really great article about it on twinstrology.com. She's so good with the astrology and how the energies are affecting twins. The 2 big things that I took away from that I'm seeing is that for the feminine, the wound of abandonment is coming up big time. And also the fear of, if they let go of their masculine twin, they're afraid that the masculine twin is going to forget them. And so there are a lot of fears and a lot of triggers that are coming up for feminine twins around these issues. You know, and so it's important to just be aware of these things. You may not be affected by these things, but it's just good to know that those are some things that are being stirred up, and not just for the feminine. The masculine are being confronted with their fears as well. And, you know, this is a time that, although the energy can feel really heavy, it's a time where we can work through some of our issues that we may not have been able to work through in the past. So try to hang tight, because this is all part of our path. This is all part of what we signed up for. So as always with my readings, you know, take what resonates. If this reading doesn't resonate with you, then it's not the reading for you. If it feels like I'm talking directly to you, then I'm the reader for you. And I will leave my information in the description of the video and at the end of this video if you'd like to schedule a reading with me. And this week, I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to enter everybody who makes a purchase through me this week. They're going to be entered to win a free 3-card reading with me, which I'm pretty excited to give that away. I like giving away prizes to people. It makes me happy. So one other thing that I wanted to mention before I get started, I've been noticing lately that a lot of the messages that are coming through for me, when I ask for my readings and ask for the messages, I'm asking for messages that people need to hear, the collective needs to hear, you know, and so I shuffle the cards, deal them out, and take what comes through to me. And I've been noticing that lately it seems like a lot of my readings are geared towards twins that are at least on some sort of communication terms with each other, you know, speaking terms, texting, or more. That you have some sort of interaction with each other, some sort of physical interaction with each other. You know, and that kind of concerned me, because I know that for some of you that are not having any communication with your twin, that you might feel a little left out, like, where's my message? For some who have not spoken with their twin in a long time, it doesn't bother you because it resonates with you on another level. You're communicating on a 5D level, and it's fine. It doesn't bother you. But I am getting feedback that for people who are in a deeper separation, you know, the messages are not reaching them. And so I've been toying with the idea of possibly adding another weekly reading. So if this is something that you would have an interest in, so I guess what I would do is probably gear it towards twins that are in separation and not communicating. But I'm not sure what it would look like right now, because it's a lot of work for me to get this video out on top of my reading schedule, so I would have to figure something out so that it was not only beneficial for you guys, but beneficial for me as well. So, but I just wanted to put it out there. So if you have any input on this, I would really love to hear your feedback. So comment below so I can see what you think about this, because I would really like to reach as many people as possible with weekly readings. And I've been there. I've been in that place of separation and no communication, and I know that you are looking for messages as well. So yeah, so if that's something you'd be interested in, just comment below and let me know. If there's enough interest, that's something I'm thinking about doing. So this week's reading is definitely reflecting what is going on with the planets. And one of the other things that was mentioned with twin astrology, and I have seen it mentioned with a lot of other readers that I follow and a lot of other energy readers that I follow. There's been a lot of like DNA upgrades and activations and things like that within the last few days, and that will be continuing through the next few days. And I'm definitely seeing that for the feminine in the beginning of this reading. So I'm gonna hop in and start, and just a little reminder that you know, I do talk about the feminine and the masculine energies, but just because I'm speaking about the feminine energy, the feminine can be a male or female, the masculine can be a male or female, and it applies to same-sex couples as well. So go with whatever resonates with you. So I'm going to start with the feminine, and the card that came up first for the feminine is Heal. And part of me, I can kind of like hear already like the groans, because I think that a lot of you feel like I've already done so much healing. What else do I have to heal? But the truth is that we are a work in progress all the time. We always have things that we can heal. We're not perfect, and until we, you know, completely ascend to the highest level we can get to, there's always going to be things for us to work on and things to heal. So yeah, there's still more healing for us to do. And you know, I think that for us, for the feminine right now, I'm really feeling like, so with this card, there's chains, and you know, this person's breaking away from the chains, and I'm feeling like there's something that's been holding the feminine back, and that's what she's going to be working on healing. You know, and I'm almost feeling like with this card, it's like a taking your power back, or like it's not quite to that point with this card, but it's like something inside of you is healing, where you know that I can't keep going in the direction that I'm going. I need to make a change. You know, I need to set myself free. So something is happening for many of the feminine twins, that they are freeing themselves of something that's been holding them back, something that they have not healed. You know, and in some ways, like, I feel like it's something that it's not somebody else, it's them. They, like, it's something that they've internalized, that they are going to be letting go of. And you know, and I feel like this has a lot to do with the facing your fears and facing core wounds that that you may have. And you know, our core wounds are things that can come up from past lives that we've had, that have, you know, continued to follow us along, if they haven't been healed, or there are things that could have happened to us when we were very, very young, and we don't really remember exactly what it was. But their core wounds are what are setting off our triggers now. And so a lot of times when we're triggered by something, we're not even, like, the person who we are flipping out on, we're upset with, it has nothing to do with them. And not even a lot of times what they've done, or it's so convoluted by that point. And so I feel like this has to do with triggers and feminine being able to face that shadow side, and there's something within your shadow. So this Pluto retrograde, and also with the Saturn, this is going to be good for the feminine to be looking at yourself and seeing what am I healing. And the clarifying cards that I pulled up here, I pulled up Brigid, which is inner strength, which just confirms for me that this is something that, you know, this is something that, you know, it's not about anybody else. This is something that is coming from within, and I really feel like this is a core wound and a trigger, and, you know, a way for the feminine to come back into her own power. And then the other clarifying card that I got here is the Wheel, and I really liked seeing this card as a clarifier here because it's a 10, which, you know, yes, a 10 breaks down to a 1 for new beginnings, but 10 can also be seen as the end of a cycle and as a number of completion as well. And so, like, I feel like whatever it is that the feminine is healing, this is the end of a cycle, which I think is really cool. And that, you know, this is beginning a time of positive change and new beginnings and good things happening for the feminine. So over on the masculine side, the card that came up here is Change Your Focus. And this card is looking in the opposite direction of the feminine. And, you know, so this card is a 5, which, you know, is talking about changes and transitions. And the card that came up here is Awakening Presence. And so I feel like this is, you know, just kind of confirming that many of the masculine twins are, you know, going through this awakening period. You know, but the Change Your Focus, you know, I don't feel like it's a negative in terms of they want to focus on something other than the feminine. It's they still have, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but it's the word that's going around my head, is they've got a mess to clean up in their own life. They've got stuff to take care of, and so they can't be focused on the feminine. They still have their own stuff that they need to be focused on. And I do feel that there is this expectation from the feminine of how things should be between them and the masculine. And there's this expectation, you might not realize it, but you want them to be interacting with you in a certain way. And they can't right now. And so I feel like this Change Your Focus, even though it's really benign, you know, they've just got too much going on. I feel like that's part of what sets off this trigger and healing process for some of you. The other clarifying card, though, here is the Page of Water. And, you know, so this is a card of emotion, and, you know, this is a card of heightened psychic abilities. So to me, this is another confirmation that they, you know, of that spiritual awakening, but it's also of a relationship beginning a new phase. And, you know, I feel like that's kind of what's going on here, is that, you know, they're kind of cleaning things up in their corner. Whatever it is that looks like. They may have their own fears that they're facing and cleaning up. They have their own personal life that they're dealing with. The feminine's dealing with her internal things. And that takes them to the next level. You know, they move into another phase. You know, it might even, you know, it might just be a small step, but it's a small step that's necessary. You know, they need to go through this to get to the next level. So the next card on the masculine side is Take the Lead. And, you know, I do feel like with the masculine is wanting to keep I don't want to say keep the connection going, because that's, you know, like that's an obvious thing here, but they want to make sure that the feminine does know that they want to keep this going, that they do care, that them changing their focus on things was not negative. It was not anything against them. It wasn't personal. And, you know, so they're trying to figure out little ways that they can step up. You know, because like I said, like they still have their own stuff, that they just are not necessarily in a place that they can meet the expectations of the feminine. They just can't. And, you know, so they are trying to figure out, well, how can I not screw this up, basically. And the clarifying card here that I got is the Emperor. This is a 4 for stability. So you know, I really do feel like the masculine is just trying to kind of keep things like even keeled, you know, like, you know, he doesn't want to get ahead of himself, but he doesn't want things to go in a negative direction either. You know, he's trying to maintain some balance. But he knows that, I don't want to say he knows that he's about to lose the feminine, but he knows that he needs to step it up a little bit. You know, he needs to make a show of good faith that he's interested and that he cares. And then the other card that I pulled here is Gaia. And so this is a reminder to stay grounded. So, you know, like I said, how he's trying to, you know, keep things balanced. You know, he doesn't want to get ahead of himself, so he's trying to stay grounded. You know, and I think that there's a lot of feminine that probably won't believe me when I say this, but he would like very much to be able to just sweep you off your feet and ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. It's just, unfortunately, we live in a 3D world with 3D lives and issues that, you know, and responsibilities that, you know, he's got to deal with and he's got to work out. And that's, that's kind of at the forefront of his mind as well as everything else. So the next card for the feminine is Opportunity Beckons. And this is where, you know, I do feel like this is the masculine, you know, making the effort. In a way, I feel like it's like the masculine extending the peace offering, but it's more than that. It's more than just a peace offering. And so it's an opportunity for the feminine. You know, for some, it's literally an opportunity to improve the communication, improve the connection, improve a lot of things, but also this is an opportunity, I feel like, for the feminine to change the perspective of how you're looking at things, you know, and let go of some of the expectations that you have on the relationship and that you have on your twin. You know, because I think that you'll find if you're able to let go of some of the expectations, the expectation of what the outcome's going to look like, let go of any expectation of any outcome, and try to just be in the moment and live fully in each moment. Things will feel a little bit better. But it's not an easy place to get to. You know, that takes, you know, it takes some strength. It takes some patience. It takes time to get to that place. But I feel like this is an opportunity for the feminine to change their mindset and reframe how they're looking at things. And the clarifying card that I have here is Strength. So the Strength card, you know, releasing harsh judgments, having forgiveness and compassion. And I know for so many of you, you're so frustrated. You're like, why should I have forgiveness and compassion for somebody who hasn't been showing that to me? Well, I can definitely understand why people feel that way, but are you sure he hasn't shown you compassion? Are you sure he hasn't had compassion for you and just hasn't been able to express it? You know, we have to be careful with how when we place expectations on people of how they should come through for us on things, because that's how we end up disappointed and unhappy. You know, if we can let go of the expectations, we tend to be more grateful for just where we're at with things. And then the other additional card here is the Divine Director. And this card is about intervention and purpose. And so what's really important here is that, you know, whatever this situation looks like for you, you know, go within and listen to your intuition, listen to your guides. What are you being directed to do? Because you are being guided here, and the universe wants you to be happy. The universe does have your best interest in mind. So, you know, if you can listen, know that they are intervening on your behalf, and that, you know, they will help lead the way for you. You have to listen. So let's see. So the next card for the feminine is Seek the Truth. And I feel like with this card is really going to be less about your twin and what's going on over there, and much more about looking within, you know, and you're going to be continuing that healing. And you know, because I do feel like, you know, like I said already, with that Pluto retrograde, you're going to be, you know, facing the things that you're afraid of, the things that trigger you. You're going to be, you know, one of my mentors phrased it really nicely. She's like, you're going to be dancing with your shadow. And so I think that you're going to be looking within to see what this all looks like for you, because it's going to be different for everybody. I don't think that, you know, the Seek the Truth card, that's a hard card to read. You know, what I'm getting from this card, it's hard to say one thing that's going to fit everybody for it, because, you know, the looking within is going to look so different for all of us. But, you know, this has to do with, you know, facing our fears and really looking at our relationships, you know, and I think that for some, I think you're going to be realizing what some of the truth is behind this twin flame journey. You know, because I think some people are there. They get it. They get that it's not about this romantic, perfect relationship. You know, that it's more about you and being happy with yourself and being enough for yourself. You know, and I think that a lot of you are going to be coming more at peace with that, and saying, I need to be right with me. I need to love myself. I need to, you know, I can't look to anybody other than me to fulfill my needs. No one else is going to make me happy. You know, so I feel like there's going to be some truth coming out for you guys in that aspect as well. And I think that for those of you, you know, whenever as you're going within and you're seeking these truths about yourself and your situation, the clarifying card that I got here is the Knight of Fire. This is a very fast-moving energy. And I do feel like this is going to be something, like, in a way, I feel like it's almost going to be like an epiphany when you realize whatever your own truth is, whatever it is you discover. I feel like it's going to happen kind of quickly. But spend some time with it. You know, just because you know, you might make a realization very quickly, you don't have to do anything with it. You can just sit with it for a little while. And then the other card that I really was glad came up here is Dharma Unfolding. And so this card is all about remembering that you are on a path, and you know, that this is all, you know, this is all part of your path, and everything is working out the way it's supposed to. Now, the card that came up on the masculine side is Spread Your Wings. And I feel like, to me, this is reminding me of that, you know, moving up in ascension. Like they're continuing on that path of growth and that spiritual growth, and they're going to see you know, I don't know why, but see the truth is coming to me, which I think is really funny, because You know, if you look at both of these cards, the person in the cards, they both have their arms stretched out and they're both looking at a light at the top. So it's like, I feel like they're both going to be discovering their own truths. You know, the masculine, I think, is going to be figuring out some of his own personal things, but also figuring out some bigger universal truths as well. You know, a lot of the feminine have already gone through their awakening. You know, so I think this is going to be like a rockier ride in a way. And then, so I think this is kind of funny. I didn't even read this card before I pulled it. This card is Serapis Bay, and it says Ascension. And this card says, move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the light is here. So it's kind of similar to what I was just saying about, you know, moving up in ascension, and, you know, that there's going to be more truth that they're discovering. And then also the Queen of Water. So this is another card of emotion. But again, you know, this is another card of a relationship moving to another level, which I really do feel like, you know, what I said down in the first card, you know, they had to go through this step to move to the next level. I feel like, you know, this place where they're finding the truth, seeking the truth, you know, this is another step that they have to go through to get to the next level. And I feel like this card's a confirmation of that. A relationship's moving to another level. And, you know, this is a card of, you know, the masculine is going to be learning to trust his intuition. Now, what's interesting is the crowning energy here is Master. And I think this is very representative of what's going on with this Pluto retrograde. This card is telling me that both the masculine and the feminine, you know, they're keeping a wall up around their hearts. There's a fear of sharing their heart fully with the other. They don't want to get hurt anymore. You know, but what they're not realizing is that everything that they want comes from living from their heart. And they cannot truly live from their heart if their heart is behind a cage, if it's behind a wall. You know, so everything that they're desiring, whether it's apart or together, you need to let the wall down. You need to let them in. You need to be vulnerable. You need to live from your heart. You know, but it's interesting because both of you are in that same place. It's not like one or the other. You're both there. You know, and I really feel like that is because you're facing your shadows, you're facing your fears. And I think for you both, there is a very innate fear of being let down. Maybe not being abandoned so much on the masculine side, but losing each other, being rejected, not being good enough. And so that's keeping you both back from each other a little bit. And the confirmation card I had here on this is the Two of Air. And I was really, it was funny because this card summed up everything that I was thinking about the Master card when I saw it. You know, basically, you know, the Two of Air is about, you know, not knowing what to do. You can't make a decision, or you don't know what to do. You don't want to make a decision. In some cases, you know that there's a problem, but you're pretending that there's no problem. And, you know, how can the universe bring you together? How can your guides, how can you manifest, how can you do any of these things if you don't know what you want? You know, if you are both, you know, you want to be together, but you're keeping a wall up between your hearts, that's a confusing message. That's a confusing energy that you're putting out into the universe. Am I right? And, you know, and that comes from fear. That comes from having to face your fears. So what are you going to do about that? You know, and I'm not saying you have to do something about it right now, you know, but I think that that's part of what this Pluto retrograde is, you know, stirring up for you. You know, and I feel like the goal is to be living from your heart, you know, and be as genuine as you can. You know, not coming from a place of neediness and desperation, but just genuinely living from your heart. And, you know, I can really relate to this Master card and the Two of Air, because, you know, I was recently working with a reader, with a healer, and they, you know, asked me a question, you know, and it was about what I wanted. I was like, shit, I don't know. I don't know right now. And, you know, I know that that's coming from my fears, that I have my heart behind a cage. And I know why my heart is behind the cage. You know, if you had asked me a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, or if this person had, I probably would have said, yes, I know exactly what I want. And things, you know, life happened. And now I'm in this place where I'm that Two of Air and I'm that Master card. So I absolutely get it. I get it. But, you know, I'm not saying that you have to make a decision one way or the other right this second, but I do feel like this Pluto retrograde is going to be pushing for you to figure it out. And I believe that this lasts several months. So, you know, this is a time for you to be facing your fears and figure things out. Now, the underlying energy that I think is awesome. So despite this, because it's not a bad thing, especially because both twins are in that, is balance for the underlying energy. Both twins are bringing to this. So it's like there's all this outer stuff happening, yet they're bringing this energy of balance to their situation. And that's telling me that underneath it all, they want to come together, and they want to do it in a way that is for everyone's highest good, and they're trying to do it in a way that is balances each other out. And the clarifying card here is the Two of Fire, and you know, this talks about coming into your own and new partnerships and continuing to move forward. So this is a really positive card, and I feel like it's, you know, this is a message that even though it might not be outwardly spoken about, like this is like an unspoken goal, unspoken energy that these twins are trying to bring forward with them. Now, the underlying energy of the feminine is clarity of belief. And immediately what I got from this card when I picked it up is that she is thinking about, do I give up? Do I let go? What do I do here? And I feel like this is the underlying energy of the feminine facing one of her fears. And she's fearing what will happen if she lets go. You know, and it's like she's trying to figure out, can I live with what happens? Because she's expecting that he's going to forget her, that he's not going to choose her. You know, she's expecting the worst. You know, and the card that I pulled as a clarifier here is the Queen of Earth. And so even though I'm feeling from this clarity of belief that it's like this, you know, she's got this shadow of, you know, do I let them go, and what that looks like, and being fearful. She's trying to take a sensible approach to it, because she knows you know, like she knows that if it's meant to be, he will come back. Or not even that he'll come back. He's not going anywhere. That you're always connected. So she's trying to keep her wits about her. Now, the underlying energy for the masculine, and so feminine, this to me was a big confirmation. They're going through just as much as you are. Just as much. They just don't talk about it. Darkest fears. Underlying energy is that they have these underlying darkest fears that eat away at them too, which is exactly why you both, your crowning energy is master, that your heart is behind that cage. The clarifying card that I pulled here is the World, though. And so kind of like with the feminine, they're trying to keep a positive outlook, you know, and know that if it's meant to be, it's going to work out. I'm on the right path. You know, this is going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. So I pulled an oracle card, and the card that I pulled is To Be Fair, which is 38, which is an 11. And the essential meanings of To Be Fair are balance, justice, a need to consider options, mutual benefit, and the law of cause and effect. So here's the relationship message. Can you find a way to achieve fairness right now? This is a time for listening as well as speaking, for understanding as well as asking to be understood. There's much to be learned, and you will learn it if you remain open and objective, weighing options and considering all sides. Your heart wants to connect to others, so allow for balanced exchange of ideas and actions. The best kind of relationship is one in which there is mutual benefit and each party feels heard, valued, and respected. Be fair to all. And I feel like this kind of sums up a lot of what's going on here. That, you know, there is this desire for balance, you know, and if there's just this, you know, a give and take, and a give and receive, you're going to go in the direction that you want to go in. But you have to remember, it is going to take time, and for some it's not going to happen as quickly as you want it to happen. And so that's another area where we need to lose the expectations. I know it's not easy, but it is the truth. It is what it is. And I hate that expression, but it is one of those things that it is just the way it is. So I hope that you guys found this reading to be helpful. I do think that it will be helpful for a lot of you to kind of keep your cool and keep yourself balanced as we go through the beginning of this Pluto retrograde and navigate some of the dense and heavy energies that have been coming through, and from what I'm understanding are going to continue to come through for the next few days at least. So if you like this reading, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you are the first to know as soon as I upload a new video. If you would like to schedule a reading with me, my website is indigowingshealing.com. You can also email me at indigowingshealing@gmail.com, and you can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/indigowingshealing. And then I also have a small closed group, which is Indigo Wings Soul Connections. I think that is it. Don't think I have anything else to add. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I hope you could hear me, but it kind of hurts to talk too forcefully right now. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Let me know if you have any questions, and like I said, if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.